All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to first start by saying Happy Black History Month. And, that's just it. But I want to talk about something. I hear Jeff Van Gundy say this all the time. He said it a lot over the years about, players being in foul trouble. In the Dallas-Atlanta game today, Sunday, Luka and Jalen Brunson both had 5 fouls going into the fourth quarter. I think Luka got his 5th foul early in the third. Jalen Brunson got his in the middle of the third, about the 6-minute mark. And Jeff Van Gundy always says when players in foul trouble, what's the difference between putting them in now or at a later moment when you have these fouls? And his whole thing today was, except with 6 minutes left in the third quarter, Luka got 5 fouls. Are the fourth quarter minutes more important than these minutes? And at the moment, Dallas was up by 6. It was 66-58. And it's like, I get why Jeff Van Gundy was a decent coach at most. Like, in a tight game, Trey and Luka, first and foremost, were kind of both having bad shooting nights. But in a tight game, when either one of them can heat up, do you really want to risk Luka fouling out in the middle of the third quarter when you might need him in the fourth?
Right. And I will first of all say it's definitely situational. He gets the 5th foul. We're up 6. I'm comfortable taking him out. If the game is a little closer, I'll probably give him another 2 minutes, because usually the go-to player, if they're rolling, maybe they finish the third, because most of them get a break at the top of the fourth. So you probably getting close to his break anyway. But if it's a tight game, with that cushion, I would have been comfortable taking him out. But to ask, does it matter? It's obviously situational, first of all. That's what I said first. But you definitely would prefer Luka to foul out in the fourth than in the third. I don't think he can't really not understand, I guess, why they wouldn't come out. It strategically makes sense, because if you do leave him in the third and he fouls out, now you don't have him at all in the fourth. And we know teams it's always a game of runs, and even when a team is down, we always see in the first couple minutes of the fourth if they're gonna make that push. So if y'all make the push, you want Luka to finish the game. So I don't really get why he would ask, are those minutes more important? Because I would say the fourth quarter minutes are more important. Every minute of the game is important, but the fourth quarter minutes are more important. But with a 6-point lead in the cushion, I would have felt comfortable taking him out at that point.
No, yeah, I feel you. Like I said, it's just quick. Like I say, Jeff Van Gundy has been said it many times over the years.
Yeah, he has said it before.
And I would just think, as a head coach, that wouldn't be a thing for him. Like, you would really risk your player being in more foul trouble or get fouling out because you want to put him in because you don't feel safe with a 6-point cushion.
Right, because you want Luka to close the game for you. Like, that just is what it is. That even goes with how certain rotations are set up at certain ways. So why do you play certain players at certain minutes? I'm going to get you in now. Your rest is at the top of the fourth, so I can have you finish the fourth quarter. So, yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird strategy. But with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And it's the Hoopers Hours on Nothing But Net Radio, presented to you by Dash Radio. And speaking of Luka, who, the Mavericks won the game, he finishes with another triple-double. This 45th triple-double, has him 10th all-time. And basically, this is Luka's 4th year, right? 3-time All-Star.
Yeah, 4th year in the league.
Basically averaging 10 triple-doubles a year. And I know, of course, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, that's what he does. But with how the Mavericks play, do you think Luka getting these triple-doubles like this is going to always be something like, man, he got another triple-double? Like, it's always going to be not necessarily surprising, but it's like he got another one.
For me, with him, it won't be. I think he is going to be that, because for one, it's clear that the game now, with more threes being shot, there's longer rebounds. And then Luka's a pretty big player anyway, 6'8", or whatever. So, but just the way that the game is now, triple doubles are up. But with Luka's stats, you could see that he will be in that world anyway. He would be, he's doing things that like when Russ started getting his triple doubles, it all kind of came later in his career.
Right.
Not later in his career, but more in the middle. One at the beginning, he didn't come into the league grabbing triple doubles, and it wasn't even a common thing at that. I mean, I remember it was rare. Like LeBron would get them. Before LeBron, Jason Kidd was always notorious for getting triple doubles and things like
But
that.
it'd be like 5 or 6 a year.
Yeah, right. So then when Russ started picking it up, which also threes were at an all-time high then, longer rebounds, and it just makes sense. The strategy is for the guard to lead the break.
Right.
But I really think Luka is in the mode of like Oscar, honestly, of big guard. He will be down there to bang with the bigs and grab some rebounds, and it's just naturally what he does. I mean, overall, every year he's usually 25, 26, whatever it is, at 9 and 9. So to be in that area, it means you're getting a lot of triple doubles, honestly.
No, for sure. And like I say, Dallas picked up a win today. Had a big.
Luka's gonna break. He's gonna be the all-time leader.
I did actually mean that year. Do you think he has?
Yeah, I think he's gonna pass Russ, especially because these last couple of years, Russ is gonna slow down. He's 18, 7 and 7 now. He gets triple doubles here and there. He still gets them. He's still gonna get them.
Right.
But
you don't think he's gonna put it at an impossible number that Luka can't reach?
no, especially since Luka's already getting them. Because I mean, Russ, since he's broken the record. I mean, how many? I know we don't know off the top of our heads right now, but Russ probably has 190 triple doubles. He hasn't hit 200 yet.
No, I don't think
and
so.
the fact that Luka's already at 40 in year,
Like say year 4.
like he's not gonna pass Russ while he's playing. But Luka's definitely gonna. I think Luka's gonna be the all-time leader in triple doubles when he's there.
No, I can see that. Like he doesn't make it look effortless, but it seems to be not necessarily the most difficult thing for him because he's always in good position, like you say, with how the 3-point shot is used. There's a lot of long rebounds that he can go and grab, and he's not necessarily always looking to pass, but he's definitely always looking for the open man or just the open shot in general.
Yeah, and then, I mean, with the way he plays, the ball is going to be in his hands a lot. So those players are getting a lot of assists too because he's really setting up everything for the offense. So yeah, Luka's going to be in that. That's going to be his world.
And speaking of amazing things, I can't find the exact number again, but Nikola Jokic and Wilt Chamberlain are the only two players I think is with 20 plus games of 25, 20 on 80% shooting. No, my bad. 20 triple doubles and 80% shooting. And you always say Jokic is kind of putting up junior Wilt Chamberlain numbers because nobody's ever going to put up those numbers.
Yeah, you're not going to put up the scoring numbers, but when you look at the rebounds and the assists, I mean, it's hard to get his numbers period because Wilt was getting some 50 rebound, 30 rebound games a lot. So,
nobody's doing
but
that, right?
modern day getting 30 and 20 and 20 and 20 with 8 assists as a center, Jokic is as close as we are going to get to seeing Wilt Chamberlain.
And of course, as we know, Jokic won the MVP last year. And I see a lot of people, especially on NBA Twitter, like, just different podcasters are saying that Jokic probably won't have a chance to win the MVP this year because of voter fatigue, because he won last year. But me and you were having a conversation about that the other day, and it's like, can there really be voter fatigue for a one-time award winner?
Exactly. Voter fatigue is fatigue. It means we've seen him win it multiple times, and you're tired of just going to him to win it one time. Like we've only voted for you once. So yeah, I couldn't consider what he's doing voter fatigue. I just think, like, even though I do say that he's putting up the Wilt numbers, we see he's have those Wilt-like games, and I know it. The whole thing is his P. For most people, it's the PER. That's what because he's on record pace to break the record for PER.
Right.
I'm not a person that really cares for PER, but people that care about it, that's the thing that they're looking at. But other than that, I mean, he's averaging 26 and 13, which is great. But it's not like, no disrespect, it's not like it's 34 and 13 or something like that. 26 and 13 are really good numbers that we don't see all the time, but we can, like, Kevin Love was in that world. Embiid a couple of years. We've seen it respectfully, like, we've seen it done, and the fact that they're a 6 seed. But where Jokic gets his credit and where he is in the conversation is durability. He's like, for me, the MVP candidates was Jokic, Embiid, and KD before KD went out. But KD's out now. Embiid has missed some time also. Jokic hasn't missed some time, and clearly he's been down Jamal Murray. And I said a few weeks ago, he's out. He's down Michael Porter, and he wasn't having the best season before he went out anyway. So he's definitely still in the conversation. But them being it's when you are a 6 seed. Like, Westbrook won MVP as a 6th seed because he was the first person to average a triple-double since the 70s. It's like you doing something we've never seen before, and I don't think an all-time high PER guarantees MVP.
Right. And I know just not even just PR, a lot of people is, how Jokic basically is 1 or 2 or 3 in every advanced analytics, but I don't think most MVP voters really look at that. Like I say, he's a 6th seed. They were, a 5th seed, 6th seed last year. Yeah. So even though we understand why the team is in the situation, it's like, there's no change to the team, honestly, in the playoff standings, and a lot of people are going to look at that as well.
Right.
Whereas you got Joel Embiid, who, even though he's been out for the whole season, is down Ben Simmons, and he basically has Philly back in the top 3 this year while putting up MVP-like numbers, like you said, not like numbers, but putting up MVP numbers.
Right.
Even to your point about KD before he got hurt, he had the Brooklyn Nets were the 1 seed. He was leading the league in scoring. That was, this MVP Steph when he was doing what he was doing before he went cold for a couple weeks. Now his numbers are back up. Everybody's going to put up, especially the great players that are already in the MVP, mindset coming into the season. They're all going to have good runs. And like you say, Jokic's difference is he does play every game, so he doesn't necessarily slump as much. Yeah. I will give him that. He doesn't slump as much as most players because he's always out there, so he's always ready to go.
Yeah, and that's just one of the things. Excuse me, that's just one of the things he has to his advantage. But he's strongly in the conversation, but I don't think it's foregone that he's won. I don't think it's foregone that anybody's won. It's a few different. I really think it comes down to Embiid, Jokic, and KD once KD come back. Right. Honestly, right. Because when KD was out, he was leading the league in scoring. The Nets were in first place, and now to see how they're struggling, I think they lost again today, so that's like 8 straight losses for them. To see how they're struggling with you insert him back into the lineup and they win some games, he's in the conversation for me. No. But that Jokic has the health to his side because he don't miss no games. He's out there every night. And this year, unlike last year, like he kind of started slow a little bit last year, coming off of the World Championships, I think it was. But he started kind of slow last year, and then he really picked it up and went crazy, which is why he won the MVP. But this year, he's just been consistent.
No, definitely been consistent. And just speaking of MVP conversation, I know you don't start yours in the beginning of the season like most people. We're getting close to the All-Star break. If you don't have the top 3 right now, I mean, I know you just said it, basically Embiid, KD, and Jokic, but are you ready for those to be kind of the cemented 3 for you going into the All-Star break for your MVP talk?
They not cemented for me because KD can easily fall out because of the amount of games that he's missing. So, but I can't discredit the amount of games he's missing compared to what Embiid has missed also. So after the All-Star break is when I could really because we're more than halfway through the games now. So All-Star break leaves us a couple games left. But after All-Star break, that's when you can finally see for sure who's healthy and stuff like that. And I mean, with how tight certain things are, I think there are people that could be in. I just hate that people think that the race is over in January and February. Nobody can be in the conversation because, I mean, let's just say something wild right now, but let's just say, especially with the last 2 months that LeBron has had, and the Lakers are in 9th right now, but they're not that far from 4th. Anthony Davis is healthy, the team is healthy, and as bad as the team look, they're 10-7 when Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Westbrook plays. That's over 500. So imagine that they go crazy. They finish top 4. LeBron is averaging 30, which he's doing right now. I'm not saying that he should win it, but why wouldn't he insert into that conversation? Like I said, the Nets are in 6 right now, 8-game losing streak. They were in first when KD comes back, went out. They have 29 wins. The Bucks have 33. Chicago's at the top with 33. That's like 3. They're like 3-4 games out of it. KD comes back. It's not foregone conclusion thing. They can't go on a 10-game win streak. He averages 30 like he's been doing. More people could be in the conversation, so it's not over for me yet. It's not just 3 people. The way that Trae Young is playing, if the Hawks get out of play-in territory and they get in top 5, you have to put him in the conversation. Not saying that these people should win it, but they should be in the conversation. And at the end of the day, 25 and 26 and 13 is nice, but a 6 seed doesn't it hinders your MVP conversation.
Especially like that's your position back to back years.
Yeah, it hinders the conversation. We understand that players are out, but what I don't like is some people have the conversation and it's like, why does the team record matter? And they'll say, why does the team record matter? But then it'll also say he's playing with these players out. So if the team doesn't matter, who's out shouldn't matter either. You should just be out there doing whatever you're doing. So being a 6 seed is tough for Jokic, but if they finish 4th, that's home court advantage, which they are not that many games out of 4th. They can get in 4th. That's home court advantage. Then he can lock it up. But I mean, the conversation is open. Is open. I'm not. Ja had a strong push for a couple weeks, and you got the people that think that he can't be in the conversation for some reason. When it's like, if Memphis, they're in 3rd, it's not far gone. I mean, they've been on a 10-game win streak. Yeah. Teams can get hot, right? So if they get hot, Golden State struggles a little bit. Phoenix struggles a little bit because we haven't seen Phoenix struggle all year. I said in December, Phoenix got the best team in basketball, but they haven't struggled all year. If they do, and somehow they finish 1st or 2nd, and Ja is leading that, because I don't see how you can act like he's not the main reason that. Like, they have a good team, but let's not get it confused. Ja is their best player. He's the reason they're winning games. I mean, I literally watched him try to will that game at the end. Philly sending it to overtime. They end up losing the game, but they putting the ball in Ja's hands, and Ja's going to win. So he could be in the conversation. So it's still a good amount of season to go, and awards aren't. You can't give out an award in January.
No, for sure. And just speaking of Ja before we get off the MVP talk, do you think the obstacles in front of him are going to be a little tougher than everybody else to be to even just be in that consideration? Like, they are in 3rd place. He's basically averaging 24, but almost 8 assists, shooting pretty decently from the field as well. But nobody's actually really talking about he has a chance to win. And like I said, I know Derrick Rose having the Bulls in 1st place all year. Winning 60 games is a little different.
Yeah, but that's what
Ja has had them in position to be their home court team right now at this point. If the playoffs were to end, if the season were to end today, they got to secure they got to secure home court advantage in the 1st round. But like I said, do you think his obstacles are a little tougher in him for just for media voting, because that's who votes on it at the end of the day?
It's gonna be tough, and he's 26 a game, 26-7. It's gonna be tougher for him because people are gonna say it's a team. For some reason, they're just gonna give it the team thing for Memphis, because coming to the season, nobody chose Ja as their MVP. So it's tougher to win MVP when you're that person. But at the end of the day, Memphis is definitely on pace to win 50 games. It's going to be a lot harder. They're probably more likely not going to win 60 games, but they definitely have a good chance to win 50 games, 54, 55 games. So if you win 54, 55 games, you're in the top 3. You got to give that man respect in that conversation. He's averaging 26-7. Memphis is a solid team, but
he definitely puts them over the top.
I mean, he puts them over the top by far. The next leading scorer, you can say Dylan Brooks, but he's out. It's Bane, averaging 17 a game, 17.8. Give him 18 a game. He's 8 points better a game than him. He's the reason that they're in this position. And Jaren Jackson's defense, obviously, and he should be in, by the end of the year, I think he should be in a Defensive Player of the Year conversation. We talked about that the other day. But they both should be in award conversations this year.
No, definitely, for sure. And Memphis is just a good look. That's a good look for the NBA to see a team like Memphis be that good, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Jaren Jackson needs to average more rebounds, so I just want to say that one time.
What is it right real quick?
6.
6.
Yeah, 5.9.
Yeah, he can do a little better than that, honestly.
9 a game. He can average 9 rebounds a game.
I think, like, if he could get to 9 a game, I think that would help his...
Make him all-star. He's been all-star. If he averaged 16 and 9 this year, he's been all-star.
I think it helps,
especially with his defense.
I think that would help his Defensive Player of the Year.
Also,
chances.
It will also. Yep. He was averaging 16 and 9. He'd be an all-star this year.
But the trade deadline is in closing.
He just got Draymond's spot.
Yeah, for sure. But this, along with the All-Star game coming up, and I think in the week, the trade deadline is also next week as well. I think it's between the 12th and the 14th. I don't know the exact date.
It's Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
There was a
The 10th.
The 10th. Okay. There was a significant trade today on Sunday. Karis LeVert got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers as the Indiana Pacers played Cleveland in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as we know, Colin Sexton is done for the year. That happened at the beginning of the season. Darius Garland has been out for a couple of games now. And I think at this point we all see everybody. Cleveland is securing their playoff spot. If they finish at home, I don't know if they finish with a home court advantage or not, but how they're playing, that's more than likely. But with Colin Sexton being out for the majority of the year, they were kind of looking for that off-ball guard that can score and get his own bucket as well, and maybe playmate and create for the rest of for his teammates, which he's probably not going to do much. But do you like this move, Cleveland going out there and getting Karis LeVert?
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it the other day, and you were saying, especially since Collins is out and this team is probably better than when they thought they were. What you are missing is that other scoring guard. They kind of use Jetty more as a point guard. He handles the balls a little more. Okoro, he plays a solid role, but he's not ready to really contribute as a scorer for them. He'll have some nights here or there, but he's mainly out there for defense, energy, get a dunk here or there. So adding Karis, who can go out for 40 on a random night when he's feeling it, he can go out for 40, but at the core, he's at least a consistent 16 a game scorer. And you're not bringing him in to be your best player, not even necessarily be your best scorer, but to be a wing scorer. So I think Karis helps this team.
Right. And Cleveland seems like, of course, they like Darius Garland having the ball.
And they traded Ricky Rubio and trading Ricky's hurt. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, they definitely prefer having the ball in Darius Garland hand running high pick and roll or just running the offense in general. Do you think, is this a good test? I ain't gonna ask the other question I'm going, but do you think this is a good test to see if the Colin Sexton, Darius Garland combo works with Colin Sexton being the one-on-one scorer and Darius Garland being not necessarily a traditional point guard, but run the offense type of point guard?
Yeah, basically. Or I think it honestly could set up potentially, because if you sign Karis long term, you think if he can be what some people think he can be, which is at least a 20 point per game scorer, this probably kind of pushes Colin to be your sixth man. Because they clearly have been going big, so they give you a little bit more size in the backcourt. Obviously, they got the 7-footers in the front court, but I can see them this as a way of pushing Colin to the bench possibly, and you start Karis. But it's also, like you just said, it could be a way to see that and see what they look like. But I think for sure, especially Garland as a starting point guard, and I think he got a better roster around him than what Colin has had, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But him as their starting point guard has led to wins, has led to them being in playoff conversation, and I think him making the All-Star game solidify who their point guard is going to be. So Colin, to me, was going to be, and Darius is averaging 25 this year, like Colin has averaged 26. So Colin clearly has focused is more of a scorer anyway. So I think they were going forward with Darius as the point guard, his All-Star. Lock that up for him.
Do you think this will even give them, if they think of signing Karis LeVert long term, even give them maybe a slight incentive to even think of shopping Colin Sexton?
I think potentially, especially like the injury doesn't help. When players start getting hurt, you can see a team starting to look at their options a little more. So I could see that as a potential, and like I just said, this may be them thinking, we might go ahead and move Colin off the bench, and that's just bring firepower off the bench. Mm-hmm. And then he could be a 20 point per game scorer off the bench. Tyler Herro's averaging 20 right now. Excuse me, he was in the All-Star conversation for some people. So, but would Colin be open to that role as a guy that's averaged 26 as a starter? So sometimes it may be better to shop him. And so you already got Karis in, and you was able to get Karis without. They gave up Ricky and some picks. So I mean, honestly, that's a good deal for Karis, especially if he's healthy. He's gonna provide scoring. I can honestly say I'm not the biggest fan of Karis LeVert as somebody's go-to scorer, but on the road that he's gonna play with this team, where he just needs to score, he have a hot night, and when he's going, then yeah, you play through him, because you're not just waking up dropping 40. I can acknowledge that's really good, and he's done it a few times. When he's going, he's going. But I never looked at him as like an all-star player, but he don't have to be an all-star for them. So he helps his team. So I definitely could see him thinking, all right, let's see what we could get for Colin, because will he come off the bench? And that's what you would need, really, as a bench player.
No, yeah, that's fair. That absolutely makes
Because
sense.
Karras could give you the same scoring that Colin is giving, honestly. But I hope it works out with Colin. I think he should take the. I don't think he's gonna take that role. He ain't gonna take him.
Especially like I say, he's already.
I don't think they're gonna bring Karras off the bench.
And like I say, especially because he's already shown that, you know, even if it's just one time, he can give you 25 points per game for a whole season. You know, he's not scared.
And he got his percentages. Like, he shot a good percentage from three last year.
Yeah, right. So
like, Colin he's a solid player, and I know he think it's a bag out there for him, and it is. I can't be mad at him for wanting to take it.
No, for sure.
Yeah, he was 24 game last year, 20 the year before, but last year he got his 3-pointer up. Well, he was down a little bit, but he shot more threes, but 37% from three, 47% from the field, career high from the field. I don't know if he would want to come off the bench coming off last year being his best season in the league.
No, probably not, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, Cleveland is in a good situation now. Kobe Altman seems to be a GM that's going to be aggressive, especially pulling off a move like this, and that's what a team like Cleveland need, just to show that if that's what we're going to do and we're going to be good, we're going to make moves to stay good, honestly. And I even like picking up Rondo, you know, a couple months ago when Ricky Rubio first got hurt.
Yep, that made him comfortable to move Ricky in his trade. Shout out to Kobe Altman. I didn't know what kind of GM he would be when he first got the job, because obviously he comes there while LeBron is there. And you know,
you never know.
You never know. But how he's rebuilt this team in a couple of years, and acknowledge the mistake. Like, they hired the coach from Michigan last year, and it was a bad move, and he knew it was bad, and he got off of it quick. Gave JB an opportunity. JB Bickerstaff gave JB the opportunity. He's drafted well. He obviously drafted Colin. He drafted Garland. Made the right move with Evan Mobley. Saw the opportunity to bring in Lauri Markkanen, who I don't think his market was as big as some people would have thought it would have been a couple of years ago, but he recognized what he could do for the team. Got a good deal in Jared Allen. Signed him to a good contract over the summer. So shout out to Kobe Altman, man. Doing his thing in Cleveland under the terrible owner, Dan Gilbert.
Speaking of other
big money, terrible owner. Huh?
Nah, definitely, for sure. And it's crazy that Cleveland is a franchise that has an owner that can spend money.
Yeah,
surely. But speaking of trades, Portland also recently made a trade. They traded Norman Powell to the Clippers for Eric Bledsoe and a package of Keon Johnson, a young player, and one more player. I can't remember the other player's name. But when Portland makes this move, and I talked about it a little bit on Off the Ball Network Spaces on Twitter the other day. That was just Saturday. And I asked the question, and it was kind of me being funny, but honestly, I think it's a serious question too. Is this Portland getting to a point where it's like, you know, like, they're not necessarily trying to force Dame out, but it's like, Dame, you know, you can leave if you want to, right? Like, this trade doesn't help Portland this year, next year, or any other year, truthfully.
Yeah, and maybe, because I don't really understand. I get why they traded Robert Covington. Because Robert Covington, he's such an inconsistent player, always really has been or whatever. But honestly, a lot of people look at like the Norman Powell for Gary Trent trade, and at the end of the day, Norman was kind of doing what he was brought there to do. He was averaging 18. He was shooting 40% from three. He was shooting 47 from the field.
It's been a very injured Portland team this year.
Yeah, so you didn't want him. You didn't expect Norman to be your second best scorer, not even your best scorer, because Dame has been out. So I don't really. Norman Powell hasn't been the problem, and I can admit I haven't been the biggest fan of Norman in the last. But he's been consistent the last 2 years. He averaged 19 last year. They brought him back, and he's doing the same thing this year, because a lot of people have said things about the Gary Trent trade, and I mean, Gary's doing his thing as a young player. He's averaging 18. He's shooting 40% from the field, but Norman's kind of
doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, Norman's having a better.
Well, I think it's the age thing.
It's the age thing, but Norman's having a better statistical year technically. But I just don't get how this deal. What is it supposed to do for Portland? Anthony Simons I think was solidified as being their backup point guard. He's shown enough that when Dame come back, you're comfortable with that. So I don't get why you need Eric Bledsoe. Justice Winslow really hasn't shown anything his whole NBA career, so I don't know what he's bringing to Portland. But you just gave up 18 points per game for what, pretty much. So is it like that makes me kind of think maybe they are about to go ahead and move Dame. Maybe behind the scenes they already had a conversation and that's what they're working towards. The trade don't make no sense at all.
And there are the rumors that the Pelicans might be looking to trade for CJ McCollum.
If they trade CJ, I know for sure they about to trade.
And Dallas is also on that. I don't know about New Orleans yet because New Orleans isn't necessarily in a position team wise to be a playoff team. I'm pretty sure that's something CJ would want even more than just being a leading scorer on a team. But CJ to Dallas would be great in my opinion.
Shoot, that makes Dallas really good. Honestly, I like CJ to Dallas. I know a lot of people like Jalen Brunson there. Jalen Brunson's had a really good year. He's a really good player. But CJ, he could take Dallas to another level, especially if he's healthy. He got to be healthy. He's healthy right now, so.
And I don't even think that's one of those situations where you even have to get rid of Jalen Brunson. Maybe now you play Jalen at the 1, CJ at the 2, and Luka at the 3. Kind of like I was saying on Space as well. When Dallas had that historic offensive rated team, Seth Curry was the shooting guard and Yogi Ferrell was the starting point guard. So It's not like Luka has to be in the backcourt. Truthfully,
right?
It has to be like that. Like he can be.
He'll still handle the ball because CJ gonna play off the ball, and then Jalen Brunson is a point guard, but he's one of the point guards that can play off the ball, but he can also get Luka off the ball too. So I can definitely see Dallas running lineups like that with the 3-guard lineup for sure.
But of course, like back to Dame real quick, it's been reported that he's been saying, if he was to get traded, he would only basically accept a trade to a West Coast team. But I think for the most part,
they ain't got no trade clause.
No, I don't think so. You don't really. Do players even still sign no trade clause real quick? That even in contracts
they don't get them. You got to stay with the team you with to get no trade clause. You got to stay with the team.
Yeah, that makes sense. But he, like I said, he really only open to teams that's on the West Coast to be traded to, and some of those teams are kind of already out the picture. Like he's not going to Golden State to play there for the Warriors. He's not. Is he going to play in Sacramento? What would be the point of him going to Sacramento? They just made a trade with the Clippers, and he wasn't in the trade.
So he's clearly not going to the Clippers.
The Lakers, maybe, but I don't think.
What would be the point? Because
you gonna trade
that
Westbrook?
would take them having to take back Westbrook, and if they get rid of Dame, why would they get Westbrook?
Right. So
unless they Westbrook's gonna make us lose. But yeah.
So then that's all the West Coast teams. The only other teams after that is
like Phoenix, Utah,
right? And I know he said that he would be willing to go to Utah, but I don't think he really wants to go to Utah.
Would Utah trade Mike Conley? I don't think Utah is breaking up their team.
And once again, would that really help Portland be bad if they go trade for Mike Conley?
So I don't think. It's not like they're getting a young player or whatever. So I don't think Utah breaking up their team for that trade, and I don't think Portland would do it either.
Right. But I think there was a team that made sense theoretically, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And of course they have D'Angelo Russell, but as you like to say, they would be a lot better with the healthy D'Angelo Russell. I know Dame is hurt right now, but realistically, Dame has been a little more healthy. He's been a lot healthier than D'Lo over his career. Would you like to see Minnesota be aggressive and go get a player like Dame?
Why not? Yeah, especially with what they have. You add him the cat and Ant-Man. I know the trade for Russell initially had a lot to do with Cat and Russell being friends, but if they got a chance to get Dame, why not? They're in 7th seed right now. So that put them in play-in territory. They're not that far. They're like a game behind Denver for the 6th. So if they're interested in talking D'Lo for Dame, I would do it for sure.
Right, no, definitely. And just on Minnesota side, I think this would be a good look for him because Minnesota, even though it hasn't always worked out in the best, since Karl-Anthony Towns has gotten there, they have been aggressive going again, like Jimmy Butler, even though it's the trade Zach LaVine. Like I said, going to get D'Lo for Andrew Wiggins because that's one of Cat's best friends along with Devin Booker. But would you like to see would you like to see these teams make more of these teams, especially these middle market teams, who it might not guarantee a championship, but it shows our star players that we are willing to do this for them.
Yeah,
would you just like to see it just from that standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, it might can put you in position. I mean, Toronto took the chance with Kawhi, and the chance to win one championship is worth losing that player, because you don't just win championships. It don't just happen. It's hard to win one. So it'd be cool. I wonder what Denver consider trading for Dame, because I'm guessing Jamal Murray comes back at the end of the year. But I wonder if they had the opportunity to trade for Dame, would they do it?
I think that would be interesting too, because it's like,
I think Portland will take Jamal Murray.
That's why would they trade Jamal Murray be involved in that?
I think so. More than likely. I don't think you're gonna have Dame and Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
But I think Portland would do it. Jamal is young enough. I think they'd do it.
Right, even come off the injury, like if you can kind of trade the backcourt of Dame and CJ for Anthony Simons and Jamal Murray, it still kind of matches up to what the team has been. And even though y'all back, that's a good start point as well. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but
I don't think it's going to happen. But I just wonder, is Denver having any conversation about should they consider trading for Dame? Because, like I said about Denver a couple of weeks ago too, at the end of the day, they were just in the conference finals a couple of years ago. You don't want to go from conference finals again, bounce out the first round a couple of years because players are hurt, and the league catches up to you and passes you. I mean, Minnesota's only getting better. You got to think about the Clippers next year. You bring Kawhi back for a year. Who expected Memphis to be top 3 this year? So it's like, these spots, Dallas is going to keep getting better, because I think they're going to figure out the right nucleus to put around Luka. And Luka's like right there ready to kind of take over. Like, I can see Luka going to the finals in the next 3 years. That's probably the boldest thing you ever hear me say. But, so it's like, you start losing in the first round, you drop. It's not like free agents is rushing to go to Denver, so you start falling behind in the West.
Right,
your ass be up out of there. So
no facts. But just you brought up something interesting. We did talk about this earlier as well. But just risking it all and just making those moves. Of course, like say teams like Toronto going to get Kawhi. The Lakers going to, they signed LeBron one off summer, then like we're going to trade young assets for Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And, of course, people gonna feel how they feel about it regardless. Some people gonna like it, some people gonna hate it. It's ring chasing, it's this, that, and the third. But as a franchise and as a front office, like, I know, just to talk about, because we were talking about Brooklyn earlier and how, the mess that's going on right now with all the reports about James Harden might want to leave, and of course they never know with Kyrie. But Brooklyn, of course, 2 years in, they go sign for KD, they go sign Kyrie Irving in the same offseason. Then they trade for James Harden as well 2 years later, a season later. And it kind of, when teams do stuff like that, they kind of jumpstart winning and just a culture of, we got star players, we're going to make sure that they're, happy, and not only happy, but they got a competitive team. Like I say, that's still kind of in the same mode what I was saying about Minnesota, but do you like that though? Like, we don't have to be average and then build up a culture of like that. Like, no, we can go get some good players now if we can, and let's go from there, and we'll figure it out on the way while we have those good players in their prime.
The best players is always going to build the culture of the team. So when you got opportunities to go after players want to come play for your team, or you just got the assets to make the trade, you just got to do it, because at the end of the day, teams are trying to win championships. Right. So if you're in the business of winning championships, you're going to... I haven't seen a team yet, other than maybe the Pistons, that's winning a championship without a top 10 player. That's what you need on your roster. The Pistons, the Chauncey Billups team,
right? Not
Isaiah Thomas team, because they had Isaiah Thomas. But if you just go through all the champions over the last however many years, that's Giannis, that's Kawhi's team, Steph, KD, LeBron, Dirk, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Wade, Shaq, LeBron and Wade, Jordan, Magic, Kareem, Bird. Like, the best players are who win a championship. So, and that's how you build the culture of winning. And setting that being the standard that we're gonna win. Some teams avoid it because they don't want to spend the money because maybe they don't make the money. But when you're a team that got a strong fan base like Toronto has a strong base, like I would say Denver has a strong base, it's worth the risk of taking those players, even if it don't work out. It's worth doing always.
Nah, yeah, definitely for sure. Like, so I know people, like I say, I was just saying Brooklyn, because I know people Brooklyn is the easy team to pick on with it because, they didn't win the championship last year. So everything that's going on this year with the team and the players, so it's kind of easy to pick on them. But honestly, I think it was the right move. Brooklyn needed players to jumpstart the culture, like especially, the young team made the playoffs, and they looked like a good team to go to. So
the young team made the playoffs, but that team, those players are still hurt. Like now, other than Jared Allen, who's been healthy, D'Lo is hurt. Karis LeVert, I didn't even think he was gonna be playing in the NBA again after some of the stuff that he had, and then even after that, he still got hurt. So. Right. They were building. The culture was being built in the front office to show that we're trying to win and we are going to develop our players because they still got Joe Harris around. Right. They're developing Nick Claxton right now. They're trying to see what other young players that can fit with that, like Cam Thomas or Edwards. I don't really know how I feel about either one of those players yet, but I like Nick Claxton. But they're building a culture in the front office that is going to be stability. They hired Steve Nash, and even through these losing streaks, you don't hear that he's on the hot seat, even with stuff last year. It's like Steve Nash is the coach, this is what we're going to do. And as long as you got KD, because you got the noise of if this player leave, if that player leave, as long as they got the 7-foot player that's the best player in the NBA, the Brooklyn is going to be fine.
No, surely.
Excuse me.
Washington Wizards has been a team over the last couple of years who've been either really bad or averagely bad. They actually did get a playoff spot last year with the playing game. They were in playing range the year before in the bubble. But Washington go out, they make some moves this offseason. They sign change the head coaches, bringing in, what's my guy name? I always forget his name. Wes Unseld Jr. They go trade for Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, and KCP. They signed Spencer Dinwiddie. So they made some moves to improve the team overall, offensively and defensively. Bradley Beal has been a player. He said, he wants to be in Washington. He wants to be there. But it seems like a lot of people feel like that's turning on Bradley, who's not having the best season. He is not having a really good season this year.
His scoring is down. He's shooting 30% from 3, 45 from the field, 23 a game. He's been around 30 the last couple of years.
And of course, a lot of people saying Bradley Beal better go ahead and sign the max now, because he hasn't signed the max yet. He usually just signed 2 on the option or 1 on the option, but it's basically close to the max anyway because it's the same money per year.
See, he's signing max deals. He just ain't signing extended deals.
No, right. And of course, a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people on NBA Twitter saying, he might want to sign that extension now, or with the way he's playing, he might not get that chance again. Do you think that's necessarily true? Like he's clearly having a down year. He can always bounce back next year. But do you really think he needs to sign the one of those extensions now, or he's good with the contracts he's signing?
I think it's a few things with Brad, honestly. Other than the last 2 years when he played under Scott Brooks, and we all know Scott Brooks is a really heavy offensive type of player. Type of coach. Excuse me. That's the type of teams he ran. He's kind of just back to kind of normal of what he was doing. Like last year, he shot 23 shots per game. The year before, he shot 22, and he averaged 30 both those years. If you look at him the years prior, and I will acknowledge his 3-point percentage is down. His 3-point is definitely down. He's usually 34. He's usually closer to league average. He's shooting 30% for 3 this year. Usually about 34 or 35%. But if you look at other than the last 2 years when he's averaging 30, he's usually between 23 and 25 points per game. He shoots about 19 shots per game. That's about where he at. It's just that his 3 is down, and there's more people there that's trying to shoot the ball also this year. They Dinwiddie's getting his shots, Trez wants shots, Kuz wants shots. So it's not surprising to me that he's scoring less on this team. But to the question that should he go ahead and just sign the long-term extension, I don't think he has to, because Brad is still the best shooting guard in the NBA.
Definitively, you think so?
Yeah, I think Brad's still who's his competition? DeRozan,
Booker,
Zach,
Donovan Mitchell.
I probably still take Brad over all those guys, especially what's about to happen now is Brad ends up excuse me, Brad ends up on a better team, honestly, if that's where Washington starts to get to, because maybe they become open to move him themselves, and now Brad ends up on Dallas. He ends up, if I don't believe none of the James Harden talk, but let's just say James or Kyrie leaves, that's an opening in Brooklyn, the opportunity in Philly. Atlanta's been thrown around. Memphis has been thrown around. Brad on a better team, it's still going to be 25, 26 points per game. So that's why they don't want to just get off of him. I think Washington just need to figure out what they want to do. Because Washington started off the year really good. Obviously, they had the top seed in the East after like a couple games. People love saying that they were at the top of the East. It wasn't like they were at the top of the East like 20 games in. It was a couple games of the season they were in first place. But obviously, the team has had issues. Dinwiddie started well, but I don't think he's been. It's funny. I said the other day when we were on the show, I said that he hasn't been what they thought he was going to be in the offseason. There's reports that players wouldn't mind if he got traded because he looked like a shell.
I ain't know how true that was or not, but yeah, I saw that as well.
But Washington. Well, like I said, Dinwiddie hasn't been what they thought he was going to be. Trez starts well, but the league has pretty much figured Trez out, honestly. So that just is what it is. Kyle Kuzma's having a solid year. 16 a game, shooting 45% from the field. But to me personally, and I hate to put it mainly on Dinwiddie, I just think kind of that's where it's been hurting is they expected a little more out of him, and they're not getting it.
That makes sense.
And then they're expecting a little more out of Trez, and they're not getting it from Trez. And I think that's what hurt the team. And they don't have that great of a bench right now. They missed Hachimura for a good amount of the season.
Denny parts of the season.
Right. So Thomas Bryant.
Has he come back yet?
Yeah, he's played 10 games this year. So they've been Washington has been all over the place, but I do think not to put it just on Dinwiddie, and I've said this a few times this show already, but I wasn't a biggest fan of him either. But they at least expected him. Like I don't think they expected him to average 20, but they didn't expect him to average 12 and to be shooting 37% from the field and 31% from three.
Nah, I'm pretty sure they would like him if he was closer to 16, 18. Just somebody that can take some backcourt pressure off Bradley Beal and do some ball handling and just run the team as well. Because I do think Washington, like they were really aggressive, making some moves, getting off that Westbrook contract. And like say,
everybody thought that it was a good deal. It all seemed like a good move for them. Filled out their team more.
Right. I think this is like they've drafted well over the last couple of years, getting Hachimura and Denny. I just feel like Washington is still a couple years away from being a competitive team, but are they gonna hold on to Bradley Beal? Because this is not necessarily a young team either. If you really think about it.
Yeah, Brad's not a young player. I mean, he's 20. I mean, he's not old. He's 28.
No, he's old.
But at 28. You are expecting that player to be competing, or they start to move. So I wouldn't be surprised if they both just like with Dame, come to the conclusion like, all right, we just gonna, especially without making the playoffs this year, maybe they try it again one more year. Because I mean they're in play-in territory. So, but not making the playoffs, I think would make them all start considering their options.
That makes sense. Like I say, I like Brandon Dame would be a fun backcourt to watch. Maybe Washington figure out a way to pull the trigger on that next year.
Maybe Portland should trade CJ for Brad.
Bring Brad to Portland.
Bring Brad to Portland. Portland don't want to leave. I mean, Dame don't want to leave. Trade for Anthony Simons. You give him a young player.
That makes sense. I think Washington will do that. They figure out some money in that way to make that work.
Yeah, I mean they can have CJ too, but go ahead and give Anthony Simons as well.
Tyrese Halliburton, before we get out of here, is a great young player. A lot of people have high hopes for him. And I know everybody wants to Sacramento trade De'Aaron Fox so he can eventually be the starting point guard. Do you see him? Because right now he's not necessarily the starting point guard. It's been Davion Mitchell while he's been when he's healthy. Do you see Tyrese Halliburton as the franchise changing guard that Sacramento's probably been looking for?
That's a good question. I think he could be a part of what could change him because I think he's really good. De'Aaron has missed some time, so that's gave him some time to play. And he's actually played with De'Aaron a good amount this year. He started every game that he's played this year, so he started all season. But I don't know if he is. Like, I think he could be an all-star if he cleaned up certain things in his game or whatever. I just don't know if he is the franchise changer that they need. That some people may think he is. Like, I don't know if I don't think that he's a consistent all-star. I think he can make the game, have a good year, maybe make the game again. But year in, year out, all-star. I don't know if he's that player. So, but I think he meshes with, you get him a big, because he's really good. He has a good sense of passing the ball, and when he's hot, he can get some buckets. But you put him with a good 4, a good 5, who he can do some pick and rolling with, put some shooters around him so he can get them to him. I think he's a part of what can change Sacramento, but then again, I also think nothing can change Sacramento because it's a terrible franchise.
Nah, I feel you. But other than that, you gotta think.
They need to just get rid of the whole franchise, change the owner, change the get a new stadium.
Who it? I'm pretty sure.
It's I know his name, but I can't pronounce it. It begins with an R. It begins with an R. That is the owner. I'm not even going to butcher it right now, but yeah, he's been owner for a couple of years, and he's just done a terrible job. He was there when they let Coach Malone go. They was talking about playing 4-on-5
defense. Yeah,
all the terrible years of Vlade Divac. Yeah, they need to just get rid. I said a couple weeks ago they should just go ahead and move the Kings. I don't want them to move them for real because I think teams should keep their teams.
Right, I think so.
But they should definitely destroy the stadium that they're playing in right now. Get a new owner and just start fresh. Probably even change the colors. Go back to like light blue. Just switch everything up. Start completely fresh.
Just go back to the Royals.
Yeah, go back to the Royals. Change it. Don't be the Kings no more. Go back to being the Royals. You could stay in Sacramento, but become the Sacramento Royals. Wear the tiny Archibald light blue jerseys, and we can go from there.
That would be fire for real. But other than that, you got anything else?
No, other than that, just as always, appreciate all the listeners, appreciate the viewers, for the people that's been tuning in on YouTube. You can find us here every Monday on the Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app, 3 o'clock for the Hoopers Hour. We've been doing this for a while now. I think we almost over a year on Nothing But Net. So shout out to Nothing But Net for providing this platform for the past year. Every Wednesday you can catch us for the Hoopers afternoon session. We on at 12 o'clock. Talking about middle of the week NBA news and stuff like that. So it's on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, the Hoopers YouTube page, and the Hoopers Twitter page. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to the Hoopers YouTube page, and you can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, all of those dope places. Just search the Hoopers Pod. I listen to it on Apple. I listen to everything on Apple Podcasts pretty much. It's simple. Man, it's kind of weird how they done it now. Spotify might be the best, honestly, because it's kind of weird of how they group everything now. But anywhere you find your podcast, just search the Hoopers Pod.
Right. I'm John W.
Fresh X.
This was the Hoopers Hour on Nothing But Net Radio, presented to you by Dash Radio.